it's true.
Oh, everybody's Jessica. Look, it's all getting out there now. My thing's beeping. I don't know what it's beeping for.
Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Crazy Woman Country. I'm Donna.
I'm Paula, and today we have Annie Keating with us. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Perfect. So we have a special show today because Annie has got a new album coming out tomorrow, or midnight tonight. Is that correct?
Midnight tonight, yeah, Eastern Standard.
Which is like, Eastern Standard. Give me a few. Not 6 a.m. for me. 6 a.m. for anybody in Europe. It'd be 6 a.m. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about this new album. This is your 8th album. Is that correct? Yeah,
it's my 8th full-length LP. I have 2 EPs out as well.
Yeah.
But this one I would say is probably the most ambitious. It's 15 songs, so it's a lot of material, and they were all written from March to October, I guess.
Wow.
I had relocated my family. I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now. This is my home studio. But when things got pretty grim in Brooklyn, New York City, in March, we fled to my mom's cottage in Bristol County, Massachusetts. And, like many people, we didn't know if we were going to be there for 2 weeks or how long, but we ended up there for 5 months and 3 seasons. And most of the songs I wrote there. It was a really inspiring time. I think one of the things that can happen, and maybe you've experienced this or people viewing this have, is that in times of intense kind of hardship and isolation, you can forge these intense connections. So the album is really about that. It's about a ironically kind of very connected and inspired time in an isolated COVID world. So I in the kind of darker days of March and April, my kids were not that happy, and I was trying to figure out how to bring the joy. So I bought a boat, and I don't know how to captain a boat, but I met a friend who helped teach me about the tides, and I learned to captain this thing through the Westport River, staying clear of the shallows and out to the salty sea. And my dog learned to swim, and my boy learned to fish, and the city girl became a country girl. And as I said, it was a very inspired time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing, especially coming from New York to something like that. That's a whole completely different world. That's very cool, though. It's very cool. I have to say, it's a great story.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I sat and listened to the songs, and you could feel the inspiration through all of them, in different ways. And I think it was 3rd Street where you've got the guy watching the cars and chasing the cars. I thought it was so cool. You can just see this guy just run up and down and like.
That's a true story. That's yeah, it's a great story actually. There's this guy named Dwayne. So I got to know this whole community, this cast of characters, because we were on this dirt road for 5 months, and they were very kind to us, all the folks there. So as the song says, Dwayne, he likes to chase the drivers who ride too fast on the 3rd Street dirt road. He'll get you if you're giving it gas. So my poor brother, the neighbors told me, they're like, do not drive faster than 5 miles an hour on this road. Dwayne will chase you on foot, and he will like knock on your window and, swear at you. So I knew not to do it, but my brother came ripping around down the dirt road at like 15, 20 miles an hour. Sure enough, he had out of state plates. Dwayne just went berserk on him, went like running and pounding on his car, window, like, fuck it. I probably can't like swear on this podcast, but it was pretty funny because that made its way into the song. And then there was a guy across the road, just as sweet as can be. His name is Dean, and he still drives ladies wild at 73. That's true too. Like a charming, I actually don't think he's 73, might be 63, but very, very charming, lovely guy. And Chris up the block was a famous chef who we got to know. And the funny line in the song is, he's a friend to everyone except the dude who jacked weed from his garden. And Anyway, the song tells a story, which is a true story. On Friday night, the locals like to drive boats down to the beach, get a little loaded with the dogs running around unleashed. And it was just a really fun country song, a way to kind of like tell the story. I think the best songs are ones that tell stories that you can kind of get inside of. It's real specific, but it also hopefully, a lot of the feedback about this record is that it has a way of universally kind of connecting for a lot of people, even though there's a specificity of it. So.
That's very cool. But I think we've all known that one person, haven't we, that doesn't like the cars who drive too fast up and down.
Yeah.
Even if it's a main road, you've always got that one person who's like, who really gets annoyed by it all. And it's even better knowing that it's a true story, because that's, it just makes it so much more real.
Yeah, I think there's nothing better than knowing this is a true story in any song. I mean, granted, you hear the commercial songwriters say we bring it from within and use characters and stuff, but sometimes when you hear the true singer-songwriters such as yourself and how it came about, it's just something that makes it even more special.
Well, I always love the stories behind the songs, so it's a pleasure to share.
Yeah, the stories behind them are so cool.
Yeah. So out of all the songs, which one do you have one that it's like your favorite that you enjoyed more than the others writing, or more, more intense, which, different feelings, which is That's
a great question. It's such a hard question, but I love trying to think about it. Are you saying, is the question the one I most enjoyed writing, or the song that I'm most attached to?
Actually, let's hear both. I would love to know both.
I think probably the song that I most enjoyed writing. It's always fun to write songs that just come real fast. And, it's like kind of effortless. It's like the song writes itself. So Hank Saloon was a really fun song to write, because I remember my family had gone back to Brooklyn to get some stuff that they needed, doctor's appointments. This was in the heat of summer. And I was having a really good time on the road by this time, because we'd made these friends and they were inviting us to bonfires, and we had a summer solstice party. And I'm like, I arrived there with no friends, and I didn't know anybody. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't do my work. I can't do live shows. And then I just started writing and getting into the groove and making all these friends. So I remember my family took off to Brooklyn to do some stuff. So I had if you're a mom, it's really nice to have a couple days to yourself to just do what you want. And I thought, I'm just gonna write an old fashioned country song. And we were drinking, and I thought a good way to start a country song is I don't want to stay sober. I don't want to be good. Tired of doing everything all that I should or whatever. And it's just a fun song. So it was, at the, before the chorus, I like the lines that said, if you want, you can find me at Hank's Saloon. If you'd like to get happy today, drinks start at noon. And it just was a really easy song to write. I kind of almost feel like I didn't write it. I just got out of the way. In terms of the song that maybe resonates most, or that I'm proudest of, I would probably say Kindness or Bittersweet, because I really love ballads. I'm a sucker for ballads, and the lyrics in those were particularly poignant for me. And I feel like I kind of got to a different place, a higher level as a songwriter lyrically with both of those.
That's perfect. That's amazing.
This is beautiful.
Thanks.
So bittersweet.
We hear you're going to perform for us.
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Of two songs. So do you want to perform the first one now, and then we can discuss more afterwards? Yeah. Cool.
This is actually a song very dear to my heart as well. As I said, we met some folks that really were game changers, and very kind. And this song, I don't know if you've ever, I think the phrase kindred spirit exists for a reason. When you sort of feel wow, I've met this person that maybe I met before, or there's an echo of past and present, and you just really kind of instantly connect. So this song is called Kindred Spirit. There's grace in the way you walk, a lazy kind of way you talk. I like the way my name rolls off your tongue. There's a sadness about where you've been. I can feel it coming off your skin. A look behind your eyes like you've been stung. Kindred spirit, nice to meet you. Kindred spirit,
begging for forgiveness for a crime you never did commit, but serve the time for it anyhow. 'Cause it's easier to take blame than admit the ways that others failed you growing up in a broken way somehow. Kindred spirit, it's nice to meet you. Kindred spirit, words may lie, but your eyes tell me the truth. Born into that kind of blue that couldn't help to shape you. I know, because I was too. Kindred spirit, it's so nice to meet you. Kindred spirit, words may lie, but your eyes tell me the truth. Kindred spirit, it's so nice to meet you. Kindred spirit, words may lie, but your eyes tell me the truth.
And this, for those of your viewers who are guitar heads, is a 1937 vintage Gibson guitar that is a very special piece that goes with me everywhere. Some people don't like to take their vintage guitars out on the road, but I figure I'm in love with it, and you know, if you're not gonna play it, don't own it.
That's a great way of thinking.
Love that.
That's very, very cool. Very cool. I love that song. That song is just amazing. It really is. It has that real kind of, I don't know, it really sort of draws you in. I love that.
Thank you. Well, I should mention my producer on this record is just outstanding. His name is Teddy Kumpel, and he tours with Joe Jackson and a lot of like pretty big people. And I was just so blessed to work with him. And I've never met, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never met a guitar player like Teddy. So if you listen to the record that comes out tomorrow or tonight, whatever, depending on where you live, yeah, I mean, it's worth it just to hear his guitar work. Because on that song in particular, every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, how did he do it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So how much input did you have when it came to producing the album and you know, and everything else behind it?
That's another great question. I mean, you know, because I'm an independent artist, true story, I did get like signed to a label, or I was about to sign with this label back in a couple years back on my Water Tower View album. And right before I was going to sign the contract, my lawyer was reviewing it, and I think it's a typical story that you hear. They wanted rights to all future records for my royalties and for like a lot of control that I didn't want to give up as an independent artist. So long story short, I'm still an independent artist, for better or for worse, because it's certainly a harder road to hoe, but I have a lot more control. And I don't make music with people who I don't love as human beings and trust as human beings. So the answer to your question is, it was entirely collaborative and beautiful. Teddy Kumpel and I didn't disagree on anything. And if we did have a slight sort of different take on things, we just, it wasn't even worked it out. It was like we were at the same place with the music and how the production should be and what the sound should be like. And similarly, I've never had such a great recording experience. I allowed him to choose the band. So it was not my regular kind of cast of characters because they weren't really available. And Teddy said, I know exactly who should play on this record. And, you know, the person who plays organ tours with CSN, the person who is the bass player was the original bass player for the Hamilton musical. I mean, it's like, you know, the cast of characters, I kind of can't believe that they worked with me on this because they're so talented. And it was just like butter, you know what I mean? So easy to make this record.
That must be amazing.
That must, like, now out of all the records you made, was this like, you would say, your easiest one? Obviously with growth, experience, things like that, or do you think there was other ones that may have been easier?
This was just by far the most delightful, easy, seamless recording experience I've ever had. And by far, I'm the most proud of this album. Yeah. It's sometimes, like I said, it's not been an easy year for me. I mean, not been an easy year for a lot of people. And I've had a lot of stuff happen, after I came back to Brooklyn. But, I think you take the light with the dark, and like, I feel so blessed that in this time that was not an easy time, it was a complicated time, there was so much inspiration for me. And the thing is, like, as a songwriter, I never know when that's going to come. There's some people like artists like John Hyatt. I've read articles where he sits down every day for six hours, and it's like he works. And I don't not really like that. I may not write for a year, and then I'll write like 15 songs in 5 months. And it's just, for me, there's a little bit more of an alchemy to it, like a magical process. And that's, what 2020 was.
Yeah. That's perfect. So most normal albums are about 10 songs, especially country albums. Obviously, not talking pop or anything else, and normally about 10 songs long. Yeah. So why 15? Or is it just because you wrote the 15 songs and you couldn't pick, or is it just this is how it's going to be?
I'm old school. I still believe that an album tells a story. The story cannot be told in 10 songs. The story was not done until it was done. And the last track, Goodbye, bookended by the first track, Third Street, if you look at the whole album as a whole and you experience it and you let it in, you'll feel that there's a journey through the 15 songs. And if I were to cut out 3, I mean, people said to me, it's kind of long. Why don't you just release these as singles? You get more bang for your buck. I don't care about that. Like, I want the album to be a journey for me and for the listener.
Yeah, that's perfect. I can totally understand that. That's great. I love that.
That is wonderful, because you're right. A lot of people do release singles more so than albums or small EPs because they're telling part of a story. And this year does take you on the full journey.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's definitely a new trend, isn't it? EPs and a lot more singles. Albums are a thing of the past. Well, maybe not a thing of the past, but they're definitely, few and far between now.
I think they are. I mean, I'm a little bit of a dinosaur, but luckily a lot of my fans, my biggest fan base is in Europe. And a lot of those people, they want albums. They care about albums still. And they're, so I don't know. I mean, what I like to think is also each of the songs, there's no filler in this record. I don't want to put a song on there unless I think it's like 100% for me. And my hope is that if people are, like me, ADD streaming on Spotify, and they're like, give a song 10 seconds, that any one of these songs is going to move you.
Yeah. Any
one of these songs, because I gave it 100%, the band gave it 110%. And, that's fine. You can listen to them as singles, but I want there to be that album experience that's available too.
Yeah.
It's authentic. It's got to be authentic for me, or else I'm not interested in doing it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a bit like that. You hear 10 seconds of a song and I'm like, no, I don't know about that. I'm terrible for that.
Each song should be strong enough to hold its own, And so, and I believe that to be the case, but so it works as like, if you're listening to them as singles or if you're listening as an album, it should work either way, I guess, if the music's good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I must be the oddball. I do like 30 seconds or more for if I'm scanning type of a thing. So
that's good. You have more focus than we do. I always want to look here, but I'm supposed to look here, right?
Perfect. That is perfect. Yes. I'm the one that always has the little sign that says like, hey, don't forget to look up. Don't forget to be nice or to smile. Yeah. Like I'm the one that posts signs like that.
I may look like a crazy person because sometimes I do this because I just want to see you all, but I'll try.
It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. Sometimes we're just heads, depending, because the camera's just like, sit back over here.
Exactly.
It's all good fun. It's all good fun. I must admit, though, I do miss the physical album.
I can send you one.
It looks great because you get it there and then, but you miss the whole feel of an album or a CD and yes, you see?
Opening it up.
That is a beautiful cover. Now, is that actually where you were staying?
This is my dear friend who's an artist who made this picture. for me.
wow.
And this is my partner who did this incredible painting of
Oh, wow.
the road. A painting.
That's very cool.
That is beautiful.
That
Thank
is
you.
very, very cool.
Yeah, I miss it too. But, vinyl seems like it's coming back a little. I think, my hope is that streaming's great, but that like we're going to want to get back to, don't y'all see like a move towards like artisanal kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for? Small batch. Like people want that kind of organic experience. And I think maybe once we get off the Zoom world, we're more in touch with each other. Things like vinyl, and like you're going to want like that crackly, warm, real thing. Maybe I'm wrong.
Kids these days don't know the joys of, using tapes or CDs that have been overused, or, vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, don't you remember? I'm going to make myself sound old, but I remember going to like Tower Records or wherever, like, and you just buy, like, you look forward for weeks and you buy it, and it'd be either the vinyl or the CD, and you like go home and read all the liner notes. Like, I'm never going to lose that. Like, that's just like so part of it,
Definitely. That's the part of getting the album. I mean, now, we can go to bed, wake up next morning, you've got the new album. As you said, you haven't got that thrill of getting to the shop and finding it, or, touring around 6 or 7 different shops just to get it in. You don't have that so much.
I know.
There's one benefit is that now with Google and stuff, we can actually do more research and find out other stuff, not just that album too, to go back and, if someone we find now that may have released, like you, all the 8 albums that you've released now. And, that's something we can go back and.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me a question on a different podcast. Like, do you think it's a better world now for musicians or for independent artists, or is it like worse? And I think it's both. I mean, I don't love that on Spotify I can get 50,000 streams and that'll buy me coffee and a donut. It's not really fair, but I do love that, like, I released these 2 singles and in like a month I got 50,000 streams. Like, what I really care about is people hearing the songs, and that would never have happened if it wasn't a digital world. And there's just so much more that's possible. I mean, you're right. Like I'm uploading like cool stuff to my YouTube channel, and it's like all these people messaging me like, oh, I saw this video or I saw this content and on Twitter, and like, that's awesome. That's great. You just have so much more access to music and interaction with the artist and with fans. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. You have got more interaction with the artists themselves, and you can get a lot closer, you can see a lot more.
Can I mention something else on that front? I don't want to interrupt you, but I was just thinking, we have a super exciting, so the album comes out tonight, as we've mentioned, but officially we're talking about it as New Music Friday, so it comes out. And to celebrate, we're doing a 7-piece live band show, live and direct from Bowery Electric, which is like this unbelievable venue in New York City. And the sound and the visuals are so exciting and so good. I don't usually like live streams, and I don't really like watching music on my computer, but this is exceptional. So it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel. You can find it, Annie Keating YouTube. And also on
in the
Facebook.
description.
Yeah,
cool. So that's gonna be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night, and it will be rebroadcast at 2 p.m. on June 6th on YouTube and Facebook. It's gonna be really great. So
perfect. Yeah, make sure you tune into that, because that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
so set your alarms for 9 p.m. tomorrow. That's where you have to be.
Yep. 9 p.m. 9
Eastern.
PM.
Sorry, whatever time zone you're in, just make it 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget that. Yeah, for me it'll be 9, 10, 11.
Well, that's why I did it. That's why for my European fans, I'm doing the rebroadcast on Sunday at 2 p.m. So that'll be either 6, 7 p.m. European time, depending on when you're.
Yeah, if it's 2 p.m. Eastern, it'll be 8 p.m. European time. And in England will be an hour before 5 p.m.
Right. So that's on Sunday.
That's on Sunday. Perfect. I can be awake for that one.
unless you had a real bad night. with the Jack
Yeah,
Daniels.
yeah, I could also set up and watch it anyway. That'd be cool.
Yeah, just have a night of Jack Daniels. It'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Jack will sit and
It is
watch.
crazy
Cool.
women country, and we gotta get a
Yeah.
little.
We are definitely a bit crazy.
Yeah, just a little.
We live up to that name very well. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. Usually we have more animals jumping through, though. You know, like Tigger was here. You barely saw her. So.
Oh, I saw your cat. That was very sweet. It looked like she
Oh,
kind of liked
yeah.
the song.
Yeah, she loved the song. She did. Yes.
Tigger's our co-host.
Mhm.
Tigger's our co-host. That's very, very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, obviously, out of the songs you've written on the album, was there one that was particularly hard that you really struggled to get together, or?
That's a good question. I think. Now let me think for a second. Well, emotionally, Shades of Blue and Goodbye were very hard to write. Like, not hard lyrically or melodically, but emotionally, because I was sort of saying goodbye to a range of things, and it was just emotionally hard.
Mhm.
But I think in terms of the craft of songwriting, probably the hardest one was maybe Lucky 13, because I just couldn't, like, I had this lick in my mind. It's a very like kind of fun, let's go back to a casino and gamble and have a kind of like, losing inhibitions by midnight. Like, I just wanted to get back to like life, people, fun.
Mhm.
And I kind of knew what it should be, but I couldn't get this. You know what it was? I heard the lick in my head, but I am not a good enough electric guitar player to execute it. So I ended up humming it, like what I was hearing in my head, into my phone on a voice memo. And I sent it. When I partnered with Teddy, I said, Teddy Kumpel, I don't know if this song can make it on the record because I can't play this lick I'm hearing. And he was like, well, that's no problem. I'll do it. And he just completely played it and beyond. And then it just became the song. It's like sometimes the song needs to find that center, that heart that is the hook, and he had it immediately once he heard my dorky voice memo.
Well, that's a sign of an amazing musician. If they can just pick up on something like that and then just play it. It's that's just definitely a real talent, isn't it? So.
Well, I like to say that sometimes I break into my, I don't know if it's like French horn or trumpet. I'll like, that's how I.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah. So, what do you find more like? What do you usually do first when you find that inspiration? Is it just like the music that comes first to you, or do you have lyrics that come first, or is it kind of a combination of both?
I love that question too. I mean, for me, I don't like. They need to at some level be joined, because for me, it's kind of like haiku or something. Like the words have a rhythm and a timing that inform the melodic nature of the song. So if it's completely separate, it's hard for me that's not organic. But I will sit around and sketch out like ideas lyrically, like, oh, I just saw this. I want to, incandescent marsh, like I want to write down Dwayne likes to chase the drivers when they're riding too fast. And then I'll kind of figure out how to weave it. But, or conversely, sometimes I will come up with one of these, like ideas in my head or on the guitar, and I'll record it in my voice memo. So there's a bit of each that happens separately, but ultimately when I'm really trying to write the song, I got to kind of figure out the union of those two things, and one, like the lyrics have to wrap around the melody and the melody has to wrap around the lyrics, for me.
Yeah, that's very cool. You can see how that would come together. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a lyricist. Donna's the lyricist out of us two. She's, she's the writer, so she understands this more. For me, it makes sense, but
yeah, it's kind of like usually when I hear things in my head, I go, okay, let me backtrack to think of what sounds similar, and I'm like, I'll send this to my musician friends and be like, this is what I'm hearing in this song. I'm like, go for it. I'm like,
You songwriter?
Yes.
She is.
Oh, great! I'd love to hear your stuff.
Wonderful. We'll get that happening after the show.
Yeah. All right. Absolutely. That's great.
See, we'll make her famous in no time, and I'm just tagged along. Hello, I'm here.
I just love to write. So I make myself write every day. Sometimes it's very personal. Sometimes it may be more commercially thrown together story, if you will. But yeah.
That's great. Keep at it. You know, I mean, I'm lucky to, I think we're lucky if we can do what we love to do, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
absolutely.
Definitely. Perfect. Now we've hit that note, we can have the second song. How about that?
Oh, okay. So this song was, this was one of the first ones I wrote on the road. And it was kind of before the fun really kicked in, and it was a more lonely time. Because like I said, it was kind of winter when we went out there. And I just remember, you know, I think one of the lines is the dog chews on a bone. I ate lunch in bed, you know, and well, you'll hear the lyrics of the song, but the idea was that flags are all at half-mast. That's kind of how I felt. So the song is called Half-Mast and tells its own story.
Time is moving slow, thoughts are racing fast, nowhere to go, the flags at half-mast. Monday brought the sun, Tuesday came the rain, Wednesday I just lost track of the days. It's hard to get around in this hurricane. World turned upside down, we go on just the same. As things fall apart, we carry on. Days, they still start with the sun. Birds chirping at dawn, spring keeps marching on. A daffodil with her trumpet leaning into the sun. The news, it is all bad, the dog chews on her bone. I eat lunch in bed, we talk on the phone. It's hard to get around in this hurricane. Days turned upside down, but we go on just the same. As things fall apart, we carry on. Days, they still start with the sun. Time's been moving slow, thoughts been racing fast, nowhere to go, all the flags at half-mast. It's hard to get around in this hurricane. Days turn upside down, we go on just the same. As things fall apart, we carry on. And days, they still start with a song, with a song.
Sorry, I hit one or two wrong chords. I'm rusty, man. I've been playing. It's like I haven't played these songs out yet, so it's kind of weird. Like I'm on the computer, like, wait, what? Anyway.
I'm sure it's much different when you're on stage to playing. I'm sitting at this, you know, just having like a little interview.
I mean, it's actually disorienting doing this because, you know, for me, it's so much about connecting with the audience, and it's about playing with, you know, I usually always do at least duo trio shows, if not full band shows. So you're making music with somebody, but you get the idea. I mean, I think that I liked the idea of like how I don't know if you can remember how we felt, collectively in March and April, the really when things felt so uncertain and out of control. But I like the idea of like, as things are falling apart, days, they just still start with the sun, like things are falling apart, but we carry on. There's nothing else to sort of do. And I was kind of just thinking about that. Like on the one hand, it's so crazy and uncertain, but on the other hand, it's just another day and time is time.
Yeah.
One of the things I've kind of like, I've gotten a little bit into like Buddhism and meditation and stuff. And like, because I think it's the ultimate test. Buddhist test is this kind of uncertainty that we all went through. And no matter how the pandemic changed you or me, it changed us all, right? Because to live through that kind of uncertainty and what you do with that uncertainty is a real test in the human condition. So I've been trying lately to lean into uncertainty and just be like, you know what? Life has changed. Everything's changed. Like tomorrow's not going to be like today. My daughter's going to go to college. She'll come back, whatever. Like all I can do is be in this moment I'm in, talking to you, and try and be as present as I can be. So that's what I'm working on these days.
Yeah, that's definitely beautiful. I think you have a great point there that we all survived chaos. And then, I mean, some places were worse than others and some just didn't seem to care. And it was just like, you just had to just absorb it all. And yeah.
I have to say that last song, just sitting there listening to it, obviously I don't know about Donna, I got this real sort of Melissa Etheridge kind of vibe from your voice.
Oh, great.
That slight gruffness, you know what I mean? And some of her older songs, I could really feel it. I was like,
oh, thank you. Wow. She's terrific.
I knew I'd heard it when I first listened to the album. I could feel it, but I couldn't think of the person. Of course, just sitting there and hearing it, as more in person, I was like, I know that voice. But yeah, Melissa Etheridge just gave me that feel. So
thank you. I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people write about my voice because my speaking voice is sort of different from my singing voice, and that has been the people tend to describe it as like a kind of husky, a little raspy. There's like an intimate sort of quality to it, but I don't know. Whatever comes out just comes out. But I'm always honored by comparisons like that. So thank you.
That's very cool. I love it though because it is different. There's a lot of artists who do sing and their voice doesn't change much, but I love that sort of raspiness and that that deep kind of voice. It's very cool.
Thank you.
It's a uniqueness.
What's that?
Definitely.
It's a good uniqueness.
Yeah.
I mean, like my favorite songwriter, John Prine, who we lost to COVID, which was such a tragedy. He said to Jason Isbell, who's another, hero of mine, before he died, Jason asked him, like, what's your kind of guiding principle in life and as a songwriter? And he said, be vulnerable, which I thought was so beautiful because vulnerability is often seen as like a negative, especially for guys. Like for a guy to say, my goal is to be vulnerable. That takes a lot of strength, in my opinion. But this idea that being vulnerable is more, I think he meant it obviously more as being open and true. And that's, if anything I tried to do on this record, that's what I tried to do is follow that. And, if it's not authentic, people feel it. If it is authentic, the way you're singing or the way you're emoting and what you're putting out there, I think people feel that too.
Yeah.
And I've been really, I've just been so gratified by a lot of people have the songs have really emotionally resonated. Like I get all these reviews and messages from people who are just very emotionally moved or connected to the album. And that's the best thing, right? Because music is connection, music's life. So if it can do that, then that's the greatest compliment to me, like that I could ever get.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
So
go on.
I was just going to get slightly off topic because I just want to know, what's your favorite John Prine song?
Oh, that's hard. That's harder than my own song for my album. I'm a sucker for, okay, I'm going to pick two. I think that's fair.
Okay, fair.
Probably my favorite is, and every time I listen to it, I cry. What I tell you, my daughter actually, because she knew that it was so profound for me, because I was like, you have to hear this song. I remember everything. And there's this line in it says, I remember everything. I miss you in the morning light, like the roses miss the dew. And every time I hear that line, I'm like, oh my God, how did he come up with like the roses miss the dew? He's not saying like the roses miss the sun or the water or the earth. He's saying dew. And that to me is like so beautiful that he would choose that word. It's so like, anyway. So on Mother's Day this year, my daughter, who's an incredible singer, piano player, she said, I have an early Mother's Day gift for you. Do you want it now? And I was like, yeah. She said, okay, sit down. And so she sat down here, if you could see it, my piano. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And she was like, started playing this incredible rendition with her singing of I Remember Everything playing on the piano. And I just cried. I was just like tears of joy, like it was so beautiful. So that's probably my favorite. I think it might be the last song he wrote. And damn it, what's her name beat me to covering it. What's her name who just did that great cover of the song? You know what I'm talking about. She's like a famous Americana artist. It's going to come to me in a second. But my other favorite is Angel from Montgomery, because I mean, my God, how do you write as a young man? Like, I am an old woman named after my mama, like he's writing the song from the perspective of a very, an old woman, a mother.
Yeah.
And he does it perfectly. I mean, it's like, it's a perfect song. So those two.
Just amazing.
Those are both beautiful songs.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do
So
you
I was going to go off topic as well, I must admit, but I was going to ask you who are the women that have inspired you? Is there any female writers or just artists that have inspired you to keep doing what you're doing?
We are doing a women podcast here, Women Country.
Yeah.
That's kind of a critical question, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
I would say, Lucinda Williams is obviously like I can't, like Car Wheels on a Gravel Road was like seminal. I mean, like what? I remember listening to the album and being like, okay, well, I should just give up now. Because I can't. But then, let's see. A lot of women artists, Gillian Welsh, however you pronounce her name, I never quite know. I find her singing and David Rawlings' guitar work, incredible. Old school Patsy Cline and Nina Simone. I mean, some of those records I put on and I'm just like, oh God, it's so just like lovely to listen to. And I don't know. Trying to think of there's so many women artists. I mean, Joni Mitchell and what is her name? The one who sings It Must Be Love, Ricky Lee Jones. I don't know. I'm trying, there's so many. But I would say Lucinda Williams is a star for me. And then I wish I listened to more new music, because I know, my daughter sometimes hips me to new songs that really enchant and inspire. But, I have a little less time to check out, current women artists. Do you have favorites? People who are like emerging talents, or albums you've heard by new artists in the last year?
There's so many. We've been really.
Well, you do this, right? So you must.
We've been really, really lucky to interview some amazing female artists out there who are just, some of the songs they're putting out are absolutely phenomenal, and they're great talents who just, just not quite being seen by the right people. So hopefully we're giving them the platform to, be seen by more people and pushing through. But there's so many amazing females out there that are just producing songs that should be on the radio but are just not quite being seen. So
well, that's another way that I think the industry has changed in positive ways, is that you say so many women producers, not only musicians but that used to be much harder, right? To
Yeah.
just be a woman doing it all yourself. And now if you have a simple Pro Tools rig or whatever, I mean, it's the DIY world, and women can be their own agents in this, getting songs out there.
Absolutely. And you do find, and we've been finding at least a lot more women on the backside versus just on the artist side, like more that want to do the engineering, the production, all the stuff that typically were known as male roles, and even musicians, so it's great to see that.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's really inspiring. And I think it's so great you guys are doing what you're doing. And, platforms like this where it's like profiling artists, emerging artists, they're doing really exciting work, and caring so much about women in music. It's tremendous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love it. It's great fun.
Yes.
It's just so much fun. As I said, we've managed to meet some amazing people, and we've had some great support from them. So it's been fun. It's been a very exciting journey for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's cool.
So make sure you all go to Annie's website and pre-save. Comes out tonight at midnight Eastern, or tomorrow morning, I guess, for everyone else in the UK and everywhere there.
In Europe, the world yet.
And also for those of you old school who want a signed autograph copy, if you still have a CD player, they make great coasters too. If you know.
I've never thought of that.
That's a great one.
You can, my email is on my website, which I think is on here, but it's info@anniekeating.com. Pretty easy.
Yep.
And if you just, click on and you send me a message and say, hey, I'd love to get the CD, then I'll make it easy. It's either direct through me or PayPal, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. It's all, I can,
Sure.
I love sending out signed hard copies. Makes me very happy as an artist.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful.
Perfect. So, make sure you get your signed copy. It's all on the website. So it's very cool.
Yes. And thank you all for joining us today. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you so
day.
much. Be well.
Good luck
Thank
with the
you for
album.
joining us.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us. Yeah.
Take care.
And good luck with it.